this be one of the best moments of your life. You're listening to the Business Mirror Podcast for a broader look on business with Senior Editor Dennis Estopace.
Good day. Welcome to Business Mondays with BM, a segment of the Business Mirror BM Broader Look podcast that tackles the performance of the Philippine stock market. The Business Mondays with BM podcast is based on the stock market outlook story written by Business Mirror reporter VG Cabuag and comes out every Monday. For the text version online, please go to www.businessmirror.com.ph and search for Stock Market Outlook. For the print edition, please go to the company section of the Business Mirror newspaper. Let's get on with the story. Share prices moved downward last week, with the main index falling below the 6,800 point level as most stocks were sold down due to the MSCI rebalancing that took effect at the end of the month. The benchmark Philippine Stock Exchange Index fell 378.33 points to close at 6,791.46. The main index was down almost all week, except on Monday when it closed slightly higher, touching the 7,200 point level during the day's trade. It went south starting Tuesday, with the Philippine Stock Exchange Index holding on to the 7,000 point level on Wednesday. Foreign investors sold down local shares all week long and were net sellers at 7.82 billion pesos. The average daily value of trade was huge at 14.37 billion pesos, with Friday posting the biggest value for the week at 27.36 billion pesos. All other sub-indices went down with the exception of the Mining and Oil Index, which gained 285.98 points to close at 8,475.40 points. The broader All Shares Index lost 119.11 to 4,100.28. The Financials Index went down by 2.66 to close at 1,427.29. The Industrial Index declined 319.18 to 8,950.75. The Holding Firms Index plunged 474.05 to close at 6,931.07. The Property Index shed 208.69 to 3,411.02. And the Services Index was down 57.56 to close at 1,500.21. Share prices may recover this week, the first week of December, as investors may take this opportunity to take their respective positions ahead of the so-called Santa Claus rally or the year-end rise in prices. It will be a 4-day trading week since November 30 is a public holiday. Luis Limlingan, Managing Director at Regina Capital and Development Corporation, said foreign funds continued to flock back to regions which they believe would be the first ones to receive the vaccine upon mass production. Sentiments, however, are improving after over 30 private companies has partnered with the Philippine government and British drug maker AstraZeneca to procure 2.6 million COVID-19 vaccine doses. AstraZeneca has a zero-profit program in 2021, which means the vaccines are priced as low as possible. The vaccine is expected to cost around 500 pesos or $10 for 2 doses and will be made available according to the priority sectors set by the government. Broker 2 Trade Asia meanwhile said most investors are now looking at next year's prospects as 2020 is almost over. Broker 2 Trade Asia said the government's tax reform effort will be the primary point of discussion for 2021, which is important to many firms as this involves the lowering of minimum corporate income tax. There is also the provision on the net operating loss carryover extension, which is expected to help ease the financial pressures on small and medium-scale enterprises. Outside of the proposed Corporate Recovery and Tax Incentives Reform Act bill, the Senate also passed the 4.25 trillion peso 2021 budget, relieving investors of 2019 delay repeat, Broker 2 Trade Asia said. Needless to say, the lining is becoming more visible and it is silver, Broker 2 Trade Asia said. The broker advised investors to trade the range with immediate support for the Philippine Stock Exchange Index at 6,650 points and resistance at 7,000 points. For the stock picks, broker Regina Capital advised to take position on the stock of International Container Terminal Services Incorporated after its prices fell last week. Surprisingly, the plunge happened without even breaking past its support level at 116 pesos and 46 centavos, Regina Capital said. The broker said technical indicators turned bearish on the stock. Regina Capital said it's difficult to say whether the bears might continue to champion International Container Terminal Services Incorporated, as some investors are highly likely to be waiting at the bottom. The shares of International Container Terminal Services Incorporated closed last Friday at 116 pesos and 80 centavos per share. Meanwhile, broker Regina Capital advised to trade the range on the stock of Metropolitan Bank and Trust Company as its stock took a heavy beating during last week's trade. The broker said it's good to note that so far Metropolitan Bank and Trust Company hasn't touched its support at 46 pesos and 49 centavos, which is also its 260-day moving average. Regina Capital said by the looks of the chart, the bulls might wait until this week before jumping aboard the stock. The shares of Metropolitan Bank and Trust Company closed last week at 47 pesos and 95 centavos per share last week.
Thank you for listening to the Business Mirror podcast. For a broader look on business, follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Business Mirror. Until next time.